Welcome back, everybody, to the Panthers Source Postgame Show. Billy, these things are starting to get I mean, it's never easy losing. I don't think it's good to say. The pain, it still sucks. It still hurts, especially when you lose to the Browns after what they've. Now, look, first of all, this is not the Browns of old we're speaking of. This is a Browns team that's on the uptick. But either way, this is still it. I mean, at this point, I'm kind of becoming almost a little bit numb to the fact. I mean, this is 5 games in a row for the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, and it's the new Browns, but it's still the Browns learning and having a new quarterback that made us look silly today.
Baker Mayfield's been good, though. Dude. He's came in and provided a spark. Let's not take anything away from Baker and what the Browns did today. But go ahead, continue.
But I just think that our defense, and you got to think about it. I would say almost a lucky into the arms when Reed's arm is there for a touchdown, a long bomb to start. They didn't eat us up. They just got us on a couple plays, a long run. Yep. They just got us on a couple huge plays, and our offense today looked awful again. Time management, awful again.
Jesus Christ, I'm so fed up with. I don't care what the issues are. Damn, the play clock is absolutely ridiculous at this point. Cam called a timeout at the goal line, just somewhere early on in the game, and that one I wasn't as upset about. But I put out saying, I'd really like to see what's going on. I know our friends over at the Riot Report tweeted back saying somebody wasn't in the position they were supposed to. Cam called timeout to avoid a broken play at the goal line, and that's fine. I understand that's going to happen, but that ain't the reason for every single one. And it's just, it really, it's gotten to the point like I'm just so beyond fed up with it. And if that is an issue, somebody being in the wrong spot is on coaching. Yeah. Penalties that we've talked about that have killed us as soon as we get a drive going, that's on coaching. These discipline things are all on coaching. And like I've tried to defend a little bit of this like fire Rivera movement, and after the last few weeks, or I guess really about the last month or 2 weeks we've been talking about it. I've kind of been like, okay, well, maybe, Rivera, we have gone as far as we can with Rivera. Do I think we can do better than Rivera? Absolutely. I would never say we couldn't do better. But the thing is, you could also do worse.
Yep.
But there are also times where it might be time to move on. I know this week in the media, there was a lot of talk, kind of hushing all the talk about Rivera being fired, saying, it's probably not going to happen this season. Tepper really likes him, this and that. And that might be fine, but if you're constantly losing these close games like this due to those discipline issues, the penalties, you can't sit there and hold on to that. Steve Smith himself, former Panthers wide receiver, said, and with his time anyway, he gathered roughly that a coach has 8 years with a team, give or take a couple, where after that, everything they say goes through one ear and out the other pretty much through a player's mind. But I mean, obviously, that's not the only thing that killed us today. Cam late in the game couldn't hit it. I mean, he struggled late. Again, he was doing fine throughout most of the game. CMC is the only hope on this offense. The worst part about all of this is it was the defense that had been costing us early in this losing streak. Now the defense has actually played well. Like you said, they gave up the 2 bombs today, which this is really like a whole mix of this losing streak was kind of put together today, Billy. It started off just like the Steelers game.
Yes.
We went down, scored. CMC scored a touchdown. First play, Baker Mayfield. Choop! Rashad Perriman. Almost a touchdown, right toward, inside the 10, I think it was. They score on that play. And then later, Baker Mayfield hits Jarvis Landry, like you said, on the deep touchdown pass. And all of a sudden, it's like, geez, they're keeping up with us.
Yep.
How are we going to pull away? Defense finally starts forcing some turnovers, and then the offense can't get it together.
And the offense went away from McCaffrey for a good part of the game.
Yeah.
And now they did scheme against McCaffrey, and just it seemed like there was always somebody spied on him. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were eating him up in the backfield. None of the misdirection was really working. But Cam had, 5 chances to win in the fourth quarter again, to take the lead in the fourth quarter, and we stop in the red zone at the 5-yard line. It's fitting for the season as I see it, the playoffs being gone today, that we stopped on the 5-yard line, and couldn't score, and then we throw a pick to end it.
Yeah, that was just kind of fitting, which again was communication between Funchess and Cam Newton since Funchess has come back from the injury or whatever it was he may have been dealing with. It was a back injury originally listed. Then I know he missed a couple of practices because of having a baby. But their communication has been awful. They could not hook up at all today. And ultimately, that's what it appeared to be that late, which that one it appeared Funchess cut in correctly.
Yeah.
And Cam went back to the seam where he missed them on earlier, where Funchess just didn't turn around and look for the ball at all.
Was that Funchess?
It was Devin Funchess.
It was? Okay.
Yes, it was Devin Funchess.
He went 0 for 0 for 0 for 0 for 0 today.
He's not coming back to Carolina. And again, I laughed at it all season. People saying this guy was going to make Sammy Watkins money this offseason. Funchess is not a bad receiver. He's not Kelvin Benjamin by any means, but he is not a guy that's going to go out and demand top wide receiver 1 money because my opinion, he's an average wide receiver 1, if you want to call him that. He's not going to be that guy. Meanwhile, DJ Moore is still impressing with after the catch. But again, Billy, complimentary football has been the talk the last 3 weeks from the Panthers and the coaching staff too. I mean, all of them just saying we got to put it all together for a game first and just win one game. Well, playoffs were on the line, and sadly, after this week, they could still have a shot. But I mean, where do you stand as far as everything about Cam's shoulder this week came out and was saying he had the same week he typically does, limited, then threw some on Thursday and I believe Friday as well. And Ron said he looked good. Cam said he felt great. It was just general soreness, and that as of right now, they don't think he's going to need shoulder surgery. I'm still not sure I'm buying 100% into that. But, and that throw to Curtis Samuel where he underthrew it was evident to me because that's normally a pass Cam's got a guy on the run, or if anything, he overthrows it. Not
and that's what I feel like.
Still should have had that.
Yeah, it's still, his ball is slow coming out, and we are still, if I can remember correctly, as of right now, mathematically still in it. Now the Vikings lose.
Talking about
us.
Yeah, right.
The Vikings lose. We're still in it because then the Packers, I believe, just take their spot at this point. I'm pretty sure. I think the only person that's probably jumped over us is the Packers with a tie today.
Maybe.
Because Washington's lost, so it's...
We'll have a better look on that come Wednesday.
Yeah, come Wednesday, but if Cam is hurt...
Is it worth... Like, the thing that sucks is, again, this team is like... There's too many good players on this team, right? Let's say that have been good players.
Yeah.
And that's what's so frustrating about this. And it's not like we're getting our asses kicked. These are like a lot of mental issues that are kicking ourselves in the foot. And then our defense at times just hasn't played well. But here the last 2 weeks, they have turned it around. I liked what I saw out of Rivera making calls today. The defense played well. Yeah, they gave up 2 shots early. But as always, they make their adjustments throughout the game. They had Baker Mayfield on the run several times in this game. The kid's elusive. This isn't a quarterback anybody's going to take down easy. And I thought the Panthers did a pretty good job after the first 2 big plays of limiting him. They held Nick Chubb for pretty much the whole game except for 1 run, and then the 2 Jarvis Landry touchdown, or the little fake in around to the side to Landry, that really hurt him late. But I felt like overall the defense did pretty well after a rough start, and the offense just couldn't get it together this time.
And I saw somebody say that he hadn't been sacked. Mayfield had been sacked in 3 weeks.
Yeah,
we got to him.
Yep.
We had him. We've had him. We were in his face, and he just
forced 2 turnovers.
And we won the turnover game. That's the thing.
And what sucks about that is we were inside the 20 on both of those, and then did we get points off? We didn't get points off of one. I know. Did we get points off the other one? Did we get a touchdown off of one of them? No, we got a field goal.
We got a
field goal. And then we were in field goal range for the second one, and a penalty put us out, and we had to punt the damn ball. Actually, and I take that back. Wasn't that also the drive where McCaffrey scored a touchdown and a holding put us back, and then a delay of game, and then such a...
Yeah.
The delay of game is just the most ridiculous penalty that should be called calling timeouts with 1 second with a field goal unit.
And that's what I don't get. You should know.
It's in your face.
You've got to be paying attention to the game that, okay, I know that we're going to kick a field goal here. They have to be ready to get set up. I don't understand how on the field goals it's getting down to 3 seconds, 1 second, and having to call a timeout or taking delay a game, and ultimately punting.
Mm-hmm.
It's so annoying because we shoot ourselves in the foot. These last, what are we on, 5 weeks now?
Yeah. It's 5 in a row.
5 in a row. It's hard to keep count now. That we shoot ourselves in the foot, and there's just stupid mistakes, and that goes to coaching. And I liked what I saw today, and I defended the Ron being gone, but I don't know if today there's still too many mistakes, and it costs another loss.
This year, I haven't really been strongly. I don't think it's that we've been strongly defending it. It's just I caution people when they start yelling, "Oh, fire the coach, fire the coach!" Because look, yes, I think at this point it seems to me we need to move on from this era. It brought some good moments and it brought some bad moments, and I think we may have reached what Rivera can get out of this team, unfortunately. But when you start pushing that, you're also inviting a possibility of being much worse if you get depending on the higher you get. And obviously, we'll have to see what happens as this goes on. Rivera could very well be back again next year. We'll see. But if this shit continues, absolutely not. But another thing, too, David Tepper was talking about in this report, and there was also a report that came out that said Tepper made those statements to people after the Pittsburgh game, which changes things entirely for me because if it was said after the Pittsburgh game when his team fell to 6-3, you're borderline knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
And if you're making knee-jerk reactions as an owner of an NFL franchise, not that Tepper has done that yet. I mean, clearly he's still sticking with Ron right this minute, and I'm not saying firing Ron is right or wrong. I'm just saying if you have a bad 4-game losing stretch and you go off and you're firing a coach over it, you can't do that every time. Do we know if Tepper would do that? No, we don't. I'm just saying there's reports that came out that have said that. And if that's the case, you can't just go out there and start making knee-jerk reactions, giving a coach 1 year in the NFL and then taking them out. That's not how these things are going to work. And that's how, Rivera didn't have much success his first 2 years, built his team. Third year, went to the playoffs, went back to the playoffs again on an up-and-down year in 2014, and then, boom, went to the Super Bowl 2015. I think that was peak Rivera. And I think that's what we've seen out of him is probably the best we're going to get, which was a pretty good year.
And you
can't sit on those.
But we saw it at the beginning of the year. We saw the same Cam, the same plays. How we took so many steps back.
Yep.
And that we blame it on the defensive line coach. Yes, they've been bad, but how did we go from 6-2 to 6-7 like that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's there's so many.
That bounce back game we predicted at Detroit feels so long ago.
It
feels like it was last year.
And I picked the Browns to win this week in our preview show, and it still hurts that I'm right. I'm right about these losses, but it still kills me.
Yep.
Because I mean, if Cam goes out, we're not going to win again. Probably not.
Nah, well, I mean that's fair to say, depending on what Heineke does, and that's if he comes in at all. We don't know yet. The fact of the matter is, again, you could very well still be playing for the playoffs next week. Villamatic on Periscope joining in saying he doesn't even want to go to the playoffs at this point. And I've seen a couple other people saying we don't deserve the playoffs and the way we played. And look, that may be true, but people said the same thing in 2014 before he went and beat up Cardinals team at the time. 1 round in, and that's fine too. But look, here's the thing. I know a lot of people are saying tank for the pick. Guys, look, let me tell you something. Whether Carolina finishes 9-7 or 6-10 is not going to make a big difference. You're not going to make the top 10 in NFL this year, or top 10 draft pick with a 6-10 record. My point behind this is if we have a chance to go to the playoffs and it's making 2-3 draft picks spots different, give me the chance at the playoffs. I don't care because we have players here. It's not like this team is rebuilding. They're trash. And yes, they haven't been playing great. They've been undisciplined. I completely get that. And look, I'm not picking them next week. I didn't pick them to beat the Browns. But if there's a chance to go to the playoffs at this point, yes, I want it. Like, I'm not going to pass that up personally. But do I think at this stage, yes, I said it last week and I said it a week before that, I'm concerned about Cam's shoulder. That's like my number one issue at this point. And if this team can't put a better product on the field than what we've seen during this 4-game or 5-game stretch now, 5 games, then sit them.
And today what I saw, the defense was good at the beginning, but it seems like their want or their will is not there sometimes. On the big long run, I mean, we got Luke Kuechly coming out of nowhere, outrunning the entire defense. We got Mike Adams getting spun around. If he falls and slows him down, we tackle him. We got Eric Reed missing him in the backfield.
Yep.
We got
Luke Kuechly just walked down Jarvis Landry.
I just don't. How does that happen? That he outplays everybody to make that tackle. It's like our defense gives up.
Yeah, him and Thomas Davis right now are like the only two playing with the edge on this defense. Dante Jackson is having a bad second-year slump right now. He has not looked good. He's been burnt multiple times. He gave up the big first down, late in the game on that last Browns drive before we got the ball back with a minute. It's just all it leaves me speechless because you can't put it on, like we've talked about before, you can't just put it on one thing. Thomas Davis has said it. You can't just put it on one thing and fix it. There's a lot of things going on, and I think that's what makes it so frustrating. And at this point, the Carolina Panthers have never finished 10-6 or 9-7 in franchise history. Fun fact for you. But they have, however, finished 7-9 and 6-10.
Yeah.
So it's just this up and down, never having back-to-back winning seasons, and it ain't going to happen this year. You got New Orleans coming up twice. Billy, we're going to be at that game next week, and Cam Newton might not even play. And damn, my pocket's hurting because of it. Because I bought this when we were 6-3 at the time. That was gonna be a much bigger game. But by the way, guys, shout out to Hop Fly Brewing Company. They are helping me with this loss today. Local brewery here out of Rocky Mount, North Carolina, and this is their Just Boogie New England style IPA, which is kind of fitting with Ace Boogie, Just Boogie.
I don't give a shit about his nicknames no more.
So
honestly, don't.
He's salty. Don't be that guy, Billy. Don't be that guy.
It's so.
Don't be that guy saying.
But no, I'm not saying it's Cam. Okay. I'm not saying it's Cam. But if we can't win, I don't want to see the snazzy suits. I don't want to hear about the drip.
This is the shit I'm talking about.
I don't want. I don't want.
Cam dresses up.
I understand
whether
that.
he wins or loses, and this is his style. This has not a damn thing to do with anything that happens on the field.
But it doesn't. But the
media blows that up.
I understand
Cam Newton
that.
Does not blow that up.
I understand that, but it's annoying. It's at
well,
this
then
point.
Talk to the media about it.
6 losses, 5 losses in a row. It's getting annoying to watch the games. I'm going to watch them every week. I'm going to be there next week, sitting right there at the 40-yard line, and
unfortunately,
probably.
Well, I'm gonna love to be there. It's gonna be fun. I am taking my mom to her first game, so I'm hoping it'll be somewhat decent. New Orleans tried to blow it today. Maybe they do that next week. At this point, I'm praying for like cold. Just boogie burp there. I'm praying for cold weather and maybe some bad weather for the Saints. That's what I'm gonna hope for because it clearly impacted them today. Let's look at some stats. Cam Newton, 26 of 42, 265 yards, 1 interception, the one at the end. Sacked once. He kept a couple plays alive. QBR of 70. Christian McCaffrey, again, was the Panthers' offense, though looking at the stats, you wouldn't think so. 16 carries, 63 yards, 2 touchdowns. Should have had 3, but, these refs were throwing a damn flag for every little tic-tac shit they could today. It's like every other play there was a damn penalty. Some of them were right. A lot of them were just ticky-tack as hell.
I mean, but we got lucky in some that made this game as close as it was. Because they could have had another touchdown.
Yeah, it came in spells. It was like 5 for the Panthers, 5 for the Browns. Yeah. Receiving, Curtis Samuel, 4 catches, 80 yards. He had a really good game today. He did slip on one of that third down play in the red zone on one of their last drives. He turned the wrong way. Should have turned the other way. But I'm not going to nitpick the whole game. 4 catches, 80 yards. Dropped a big bomb, too. Ian Thomas, the athletic rookie tight end, coming in, had a really good game filling in for Greg Olsen in the middle of the field. Really saw some maturity out of him sitting in the soft zones, picking up picking up yards and first downs. 9 catches, 77 yards. DJ Moore, 5 catches, 67 yards. McCaffrey with 38 yards, and Jarius Wright had that one big play, 36 yards total for him, that 24-yarder on that outside line
And
pass.
once again, McCaffrey going to catch 100% of the balls that come to him, because that only miss is the incomplete pass that was a fumble.
Yeah.
So,
which is the right call, by the way.
It is, and it's just thank goodness we have him.
It's pretty bad. And by the way, as Billy mentioned earlier, Devin Funchess, statless this whole game. Nothing. 0 numbers. How did defense perform? Well, Nick Chubb held him to 66 yards. Jarvis Landry, that big run he had for 51 yards, that really hurt him. They gave up a team 116 rushing yards today. Baker Mayfield, 18 of 22 for 238 yards, a touchdown. He was sacked once on the day and 126.9 QBR. And, Jarvis Landry had that pass earlier. And we were talking about the pass. At this point, the defense was still struggling some. And I was just sitting there like, this pass rush is so bad, the wide receivers can catch a ball and sit there. Like, Jarvis Landry just stood there, just surveying the whole field like, oh, let me throw it to Chubb. And they just tossed it. I was sitting here like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And for those listening on the podcast later, I was all over my mic right now. I apologize for that. But
but Baker looked that way sometimes. There was a drought where he had all day.
And then the blitzes,
and then we would finally get there, and
guys were starting to get there. The pass rushers come around the last 2 weeks a little bit, but again, penalties and the offense at this point is really starting to kill us. The offense is heading downwards, just like the defense. This whole team is just plummeted.
And at this point, it's got to be mental. It's getting to the mental part. A 5-game losing streak, you can't win on the road. You leave Bank of America Stadium. Do some of the players, maybe besides Luke and TD, even think that they have a chance?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way it looks, at least on the defensive side of the ball. Because it looks like some of them give up way too early on plays.
Beverly on Facebook, who would you even trade Cam for? He's still better than a lot of the QBs. He needs more weapons. Nobody's trading Cam. I don't know where that came from. Maybe there's somebody else in the chat she was talking to. Braden, John, I say our only bright spots right now are DJ Samuel, Ian Thomas, CMC, and maybe Dante if he can improve a bit. Yeah, and this is still Dante's first year, but those first 4 you routed off, DJ Samuel, Ian Thomas, and CMC, right now, if we continue to build those a couple more weapons behind Cam, yes, that core looks really good. And draft a damn left tackle. That should be, I don't care at this, that should be your number one priority is drafting, getting a legit left tackle. Chris Clark had no chance against Myles Garrett today. We knew it was going to be an issue.
Yeah.
It was a bad issue. He only got 1 sack on Cam, but that's because Cam was getting the ball out quick or keeping plays alive with his feet. But, man, get him a little bit more protection. And, at this point, I'm looking at the next season already, barring, again, a miracle that we've talked about for the last 3 weeks that I don't foresee coming.
He had 1 sack, but he had 3 quarterback hits. So he was there.
Yeah. Panthers fan 2134 on Periscope. Who do you guys want to see us hire when Ron's fired Tripp and Billy? I have no idea. I haven't really even looked into it. I've seen some names thrown around. Obviously, a hot coaching name right now is Lincoln Riley. I don't know, guys. I'm not even going to pretend to know if about all these people that are coming up and going to be available and who they're going to go after. I don't like Josh McDaniels. I don't know that I like him, the OC for New England Patriots. The quarterback's coach for the Rams is interesting to me. I think it was Zach Taylor. Mm-hmm. I think is his name. He is intriguing because he seems to be an important. Sean McVay seems to really care a lot about him staying with that organization. So that kind of intrigues me a little bit. But there's, again, this notion that we need the Sean McVay type. You're not just going to go out and find a Sean McVay young, offensive-minded, brilliant coach. They don't grow on trees, guys. And, that's what I'm talking about. And it's not that easy. So I want everybody to just pump the brakes when we go get this new coach. And it's depending on who it is, you think we're going to have this, Chiefs, Rams-style offense that's just lighting it up. We could, but we very well could not. So
yeah, I mean, it could be 2 years before we see a winning season.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot that goes into it. There's several other coaching jobs going to be available as well. I think Carolina is very attractive with their core, but we don't even know if Rivera still might be here. So appreciate the question, though, Panther fan. Chandre Williams bringing up a good point on Facebook. We're going to need a center as well. He's absolutely right. Ryan Khalil's going to be gone. And that depends largely on how they like Tyler Larson at that center spot. They've liked how he's filled in before there. That'll be interesting to see. But I think left tackle, I mean, you don't want pressure coming up the middle, but if they've signed Tyler Larson, I feel like they like him for the immediate future anyway, with Khalil leaving. But you need to get that left tackle spot figured out. Let's see, Chris Short. He can have all the protection in the world, but if you don't step up in the pocket, it's useless. How can he step in the pocket if somebody's right in front? Like, this is my thing with Chris Carter earlier, too. Chris Carter was talking about, see, Cam doesn't step up. There's literally a guy on the ground at his feet. What does he want him to fucking crow hop and step onto him and throw it to the guy? Now, yes, there's times where Cam doesn't. But,
well, there's
Phillip Rivers has one of the ugliest throws I've ever seen in the NFL, and it works for him.
Well, and a lot of the coaches and analysts, and they don't attack, not that he's stepping up, but that he's using the right mechanics. And a lot of times he's just throwing flat foot. Mm-hmm. And he's really not, when he has a chance to step into a throw, he's not stepping forward, he's stepping sideways. And that has, if you do that 40 times a game, your shoulder is going to be destroyed.
Yep.
And that probably has a lot to do with it. And I told you on the podcast or the show on the fantasy radio earlier this week, they were destroying him, is because he doesn't step forward into his passes majority of the time when he has the chance to.
Yeah.
And that's why his shoulder is falling apart again, is because he doesn't use the right mechanics.
Yeah.
And he puts so much power behind it.
If he's not stepping into it. But you can still use your legs and your torso to put velocity on the ball without having to step into it, though. That's where I disagree with them.
But the accuracy on some of his passes is bad because of that.
Cam's mechanics have not been the prototypical what everybody likes to see. Never has. And look, at this point, guys, it's not going to be. But he's always used his upper body and his arm strength. That's always been his key, and it's worked, and it's guided him. I mean, it got him to a Super Bowl and an MVP. So we can't sit here and say it doesn't work. And Cam has still had a very good year. These last two games have been shit. This last month has been, last two games, well, the last couple drives for Cam this game. And then the Tampa Bay game was crap for him. But outside of that, are we going to sit here and, really blame? You can't, I'm not saying anybody's completely blaming Cam here, but there are people saying Cam's the issue. I don't care who you have in this team right now quarterbacking. They're not going to be winning with the way the defense have been playing through that streak and everything else.
Well, I could see it. You can blame the offense when you have five possessions in the fourth quarter. You're down by 3 for most of it. Then you're down by 6, and you don't score. You fall apart inside the 5.
Yeah, no, I said the offense is the issue this week, and last week obviously Cam was a big issue with 4 interceptions, and Cam late in this game was bad. There's no denying that.
His clutch is gone. When we have these chances to win, his clutch is gone.
You haven't seen it. He led the comeback against against Philadelphia earlier this year. Got that win. He almost pulled one off against Washington, but again missed near the end zone. Yep. And he's done that against other teams when they've had close opportunities. Again to Jarris Wright today. That's disappointing, but there's just so much more than that going on.
But people are going to remember,
and I think it's a mental issue at this point too. I think this team is just sick and tired. I think it's like you mentioned earlier. It looks like it when you're watching this team at times. It's like guys are just I'm so done with this shit season.
Yeah,
at times, but they're not going to give up and quit playing either. So. But it's just frustrating.
And that's what the fans are going to remember is the loss, and then the last possession.
Yep.
And the last 2 possessions this game, you fail in the 5-yard line and you throw a pick.
Cam scores a touchdown and goes ahead. Nobody's talking about any of these bad things.
Exactly.
Yep.
But you're going to remember the last 2 drives. You fail in the 5-yard line and you throw a pick.
And I'm still not a big fan of both of those calls either. They were like a yard and a half out from the red zone. Again, I want Cam on a bootleg there once. The bootleg with Cam is undefeated. It's undefeated. It's damn it undefeated. I'd like to see that one play, or Cam, like, let him run it up the middle. And then, look, I know right now his shoulder is an issue. You're trying to protect them, this and that. If you want to win a damn game and you're leaving him out there to chance it anyway, run his ass up the middle one time. Dude's 6'6", 250. He has to have an opportunity. Braden on Facebook Live was asking, I had it somewhere here, was asking about the draft. Oh, should we go for a safety or a pass rusher for first round in the draft? Neither. Offensive line, a left tackle, or somebody that can play left tackle, or even a center if the top one's available there, should be the focal point first round in this draft, in my opinion, because, I mean, you can look up and get those good guys later on, but it's not always going to happen. Yep. You're not going to get an Andrew Norwell every time you draft undrafted free agent. And then I think you look at going past that, then you have to look at defensive end, and then you look at safety later. I'd really like to see Eric Reed back. I don't know if that's going to happen. It depends on, what kind of money he's looking for on the market. So that's going to be something to watch. But I still think, I know defensive end is a big talk right now in pass rush, but I still think the offensive line is the biggest key moving forward for the draft, first round anyway. Justin on Facebook saying they need to let Cam run. Anthony is saying left tackle and let Matt Khalil go. If you can save some money off that contract, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but he wouldn't be a terrible depth piece, but not for $55 million. What do you think the chances of getting AJ Boye in the offseason? Braden, I have no idea, honestly, man. I haven't even begun looking that far. if things going the way they are, I'll probably start looking in that in the next 2 weeks. Unfortunately, hate to have to do that, but Tony Johnson, Cam has played with the worst O-line almost every season since he's been here. This one started out okay to begin the season, has quickly gone downhill as with the rest of the team. Go ahead.
And I think that is, I think that's more of the teams learned how to stop us. When it came to the Steelers, they learned how to shut down the offense with McCaffrey, and they were given the blueprint, as everybody said. It doesn't really have a lot. The offensive line has played okay.
Yep.
Sometimes they get blown up. But I think it has more to do with the Steelers found a way to shut our offense down, and teams find a way to shut it down. Norv goes away from it for too long, and then brings it back and makes them readjust. Maybe he goes away from McCaffrey so much a shorter amount of time before he brings it back. But you see it through all of these losses, is that McCaffrey and the passing and running through him works. It goes away for a quarter and a half. And then it comes back, and we're back to it, and we're back to getting into the red zone, maybe scoring, maybe not. But I feel like our offense has been figured out by the Steelers, and everybody else has used that. Today you saw it a lot. Somebody was spied on him for a lot of the game.
Yeah, and Dan brought up the point on our preview this week, joining us, Billy, and talking about looking ahead. If y'all haven't checked that out, be sure to go on the podcast platforms and check that episode out. Dan from the Keep Pound In podcast joined us to preview this Browns game, but also talk about the future. And the main subject line of the show was talking about the future of the Panthers with the coaching and all. And he brought up how it seems like Carolina has all these great creative plays, but by the time they get down near the red zone, they're out of them. Because that is when you see them disappear. It's like, we're worried so much about managing the clock and, keeping teams off balance, which is what you need to do, but you can do it in various ways, obviously. But when you get down there, you're out of those creative plays, and it's like they're gassed. Like they don't have anything to go. And you just brought up a point saying, you're using McCaffrey here, and it's been like that almost every game. You go away from them, and then there's the McCaffrey drive late where you're down and you need to score, and it gets you down there, and then you can't capitalize at the red zone.
Because looking at it in the pattern that I've seen, it seems to be that the defense reads it right. They adjust to it. Then we go away from it, make them to adjust to now pass the ball to somebody else, the end of rounds, whatever, and then those stop working, so go back to McCaffrey, and then it's too late.
Yep.
And this is not a team,
especially when your defense is playing the way
what do we hold the ball? What was it, 13 minutes in the first quarter?
Yeah.
That's 13
minutes and 15 seconds we controlled the clock in the first quarter and got out of there with I think it was a 14-14 tie at that point.
And that's the crazy part is we're not the team that we can't get down.
Yep.
If we get down, we are in trouble. And today it was only by 3, and panic mode. Then it's 6. Oh shit!
And the third quarter woes continue. By the way,
Yep.
The Panthers had the ball at the I think it was the 30-yard line after a fumble on the Browns' opening drive. That was one of the ones they couldn't. I think they got a field goal out of, and then they couldn't capitalize later. So those woes also continue. Braden on Facebook, do you guys think we should tank or give it one last effort to try to make the playoffs? Look, if the Panthers have a chance to make the playoffs come next week, which is a possibility, because the Redskins are done. They just got their ass kicked from New York today with the quarterbacks in there and that situation for them. But if the Vikings lose, there's a lot of things that can go on now because there's other teams creeping up with the Eagles if they beat the Cowboys and yada, yada. Of course, we own the tiebreaker against them. Depends on their division, but if there's a chance the Panthers can make a playoffs, which there will still be a slim one anyway next week, the Panthers are going to try. I mean, Ron Rivera is playing for his job. These coaches are playing for their jobs. Hell, these players are still playing for their jobs. They're going to be playing for it. Whatever we think doesn't damn matter. And if there's a chance for the playoffs, like I said before, tanking this season isn't getting you a much better pick. It might make the difference again of 3, maybe 4 spots in a draft order. That might cost you one guy you're really looking at, but when you're in the middle of that pack, you're not getting top 10 anyway. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say it's the end all be all. If it could guarantee me a top 5 pick, yeah, maybe I'd start, even considering tanking. But I can tell you it's the NFL, they're not doing that. It's not going to happen. We should just hang that up. Austin Bear, what's going to happen is we will end 9-7 playing great and we will miss the playoffs. Well, if that happens, so be it. But 9-7 could, at this rate, get you into the playoffs. So that's something we have to keep in mind. I saw something else up here, Billy. Defensively, Paul. Defensively, we have given up too many big plays. How do you lead everything statistically and lose? And third downs, again, on defense have been the worst fucking thing for the Panthers this year. At one point, I was telling Billy, and I think I actually put a tweet out on this, it's almost like the Panthers' defense has to force a turnover if they want to stop anybody. And what's weird is their stops on third down today were within 3rd and 5s. Yeah. The ones they gave up were 3rd and, again, 15s, 3rd and 20s. How the hell does this keep happening? And it's the most depressing thing ever.
I made the joke on their first stop on third down, and it was a drop pass that should have been a touchdown.
Yeah.
But we made some stops finally on third down, but then like you said, we can't have nice things. Both our offense and defense can't get it together at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's exactly, that's what I'm going to remember from this season.
Yeah. Gerard Green on Facebook. The last time we lost to the Browns, Jimmy Clausen was the QB. Yeah, well, like I said, this isn't the Browns of old, by the way. Yeah. Baker didn't get put into the starting lineup until a few weeks after the season started, and Baker looks like the truth right now to me. That team is on the uptick. I'm not saying we should have lost to them, but I'm saying they're on the uptick. This isn't like the Browns of old where we don't know who the quarterback is or anything.
Yeah,
this is a good quarterback they have now, and their defense has always been pretty good, and they've got some good young faces there. Braden. Personally, I think Gaulden should be where Munderland is. At least try him out there. It can't hurt any more than it does to have Munderland there. And I don't disagree with you about anybody getting a shot over Munderland. Gaulden wouldn't be my choice. Lorenzo Doss would be my choice because he's a little bit more speedy. Let's see. LaMarcus Mack talking about the third downs. We sit in a soft zone on 3rd and long, and it gets picked apart every time.
Yep.
And that's really the truth. Like they try to keep everything underneath behind the sticks and then make the tackle. But your tackling's been so bad this year.
That's the thing. You can sit underneath, or you can try to stop it underneath, but we can't make a tackle. That's the biggest issue.
Yep. I need to, guys. I didn't plug my computer in. I almost messed up royally there.
But yeah, so that's the issue is the tackling on those 3rd and longs. If we don't give up the bomb play, we give up touchdown after touchdown on 3rd and long. It's.
Let's see. Somebody else asked something about Ron again up here. Larry Hall on Facebook, is Ron going to make it past this week? I think it's safe. I think he'll make it to the end of the year, honestly, personally. Unless
if we get embarrassed this week at home, I think he's gone before the next week.
Even Tepper has to know that the chance of us beating the Saints or even keeping it close is slim. But again, this is What would be so Panthers is Carolina goes out there and wins that game.
I mean, I would like
it. No, I know we'd all love it, obviously, but this is really what, like, Panthers win close games when they have great teams. They always have to make it interesting, and this is just like another perfect storyline for Carolina. Backs against the wall, they have nothing to play for now. They're at home Monday night primetime. Cam's 6-1 on Monday night football games. He's at home, cold weather, division champs coming into town. It's like, this would be the game the Panthers win. And look, I'm not predicting a Panthers win, by the way. But back to the Ron thing that started this. I got lost in fantasy land there. But back to the Ron thing. Yeah, I think he makes it past this week. And I honestly think he makes it to the end of the season. Whether he loses his job then or not, I don't know. I think it's a better possibility than what some of the media people were saying this week after reports come out. So we'll have to see. But I definitely think he's playing next week at home.
And as for, a lot of people were talking about Mike McCarthy. Anthony McAlexander just said McCarthy might still be out there. He's an old school mind. I mean, the stuff that's come out on his play calling, Aaron Rodgers rolling his eyes to the play calling.
Aaron Rodgers is a douchebag.
But we don't want an old school coach. We can't have McCarthy. McCarthy had a Super Bowl, yes. But he had the weapons. He has a great quarterback, and he couldn't win. Yeah,
and another name that's been thrown out there that Tepper apparently has ties with or really likes and knows is John Harbaugh from the Ravens. That is you're putting yourself in the exact same situation if you do that, in my opinion. Harbaugh won two Super Bowls, one Super Bowl with the Ravens, in his tenure. And then his team is falling down along with his franchise quarterback. They're rebuilding. The defense is starting to fall apart. That is like the Spider-Man meme pointing at each other. That is literally Ron Rivera and John Harbaugh. That's what you're doing if you go that route. And if they, for some reason, they went that route, it could work out. I don't know. But I feel like Tepper has talked about analytics and getting away from old school coaching. He wants to have an Andy Reid, Sean McVay, somebody that's young, and I feel like young anyway. It might not be, but young and more modern to the game. Yep. I think that's what he wants if he goes that direction, which I'm all for. Don't get me, I'm all for it. So it's going to be interesting to see. But yes, I don't see McCarthy.
And I don't see any coach that gets fired this year being a good. If I was to look at all the rest of the teams in the NFL, being a good pick to be a coach of us if we lose Ron. What new minds are going to lose their job? It's going to be all.
But you can pull them away. You can pull them away from their jobs.
Yeah, but it's going to be all old school football.
Yeah. You're probably right. Like John Harbaugh, Ron Rivera, the Mike McCarthys, the other guys that won a Super Bowl years ago that teams are having to move on from. And that was I saw an article talking about that how the Sean McVay is influencing all this. Like, you've seen what he's done, and him and Andy Reid have done, and now teams are like freaking out because they're losing and not being able to keep up points wise, and it's like it's causing this influx of people wanting to make changes and move on to that new direction. And at some point you have to, because NFL players come from college systems. College systems have evolved largely over the last decade. Last 10 years, it's gone from like power schemes to these spread offenses. When those players are getting these simple, I say simple. Some of them are and some of them aren't. But when you're getting into these spread systems in college and these players are used to that, you can't just switch them around and put them in these old school style offenses and defenses in NFL. You try to work your strengths of a player to the scheme that you're running.
Yep.
So when you draft these young players from college, you have to be able to adapt them into the NFL and use it. So what you're seeing now, in my opinion, is this influx of the young talent coming into the NFL out of college, and you're seeing the results of that. The college has changed, the NFL is changing. More points are being scored in both, and it's really been an uptick in the NFL lately.
Yep.
And personally, I don't like a lot of scoring. Like, I like my team scoring a lot, obviously, but I'd rather see more defensive, physical games.
7-6?
That's not what I said. That is not what I said. But you can have a 35-24 physical game. Yeah. That's what I like to see. Now, granted, if my offense was running around out there like the Rams, I'd probably be damn ecstatic. But that team is still physical on both sides of the ball.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, if it happens at all. John Santana, Cowher did coach Pittsburgh, and owner was a Pittsburgh owner. I don't see that happening either. You're talking about old school. Man, I'd take you way back. A couple more comments here, and then we're going to get out of here. Do you feel Vernon Butler is a bust? I do. He sucks. Gerard Greenham, yes, he's a bust in my opinion. Hasn't been active the last 2 weeks either, by the way. So that's probably why you didn't hear his name. Anthony, why doesn't Carolina run the RPO more with Cam? Wouldn't it really be unstoppable? Maybe, but I feel like his shoulder issue is part of that at this point.
Yeah, and the times that we are running the option play, Cam has been bad read after bad read after bad read.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think we see it enough. And when Cam does get the chance and we do run that option, he's been making bad plays.
Yeah, which is really kind of uncharacteristic because normally that's where a lot of his chunk plays and stuff come from. So I don't know there, but I do know one of them. The staple is RPO slant to the left side or right side, one or the other. And that's kind of predictable. Like cornerbacks have been biting on that a lot lately. Austin Bear, I'm sorry. I just don't want to waste time. I just don't want to waste Cam's prime years. Yeah, I mean, I agree. And that's why, that's my biggest issue with this whole coaching thing. If David Tepper is going to make a change, it has to be this year. I don't want to waste another year or half a season and then half a season next year be like, oh, damn, we're 1-6. Rivera, you're gone. You had your opportunity, and now you've wasted another year, and you're out of the playoffs. You're going to have to rebuild again, and now Cam's 31 coming into his final year of his contract. No, if you're going to do it this year when the season's over if they miss the playoffs. If not, then you better hope and pray next year Rivera turns it around because otherwise you're taking a big risk. And that's a tough decision for Tepper to make.
And if this shoulder stays how it is, do you think Cam's already past his prime?
Yeah, and that sucks to say. Billy Marshall brought that up on Twitter last week, I believe it was, that, it's fair to say that if next year comes around and Cam's shoulder, if he has all-season shoulder surgery or doesn't, either or, and next year he's having these same issues. And what sucks is Cam's still having a career year here. Yeah. So let's not forget about that. I'm not saying that. But if he's going into the final year of his contract and he's still having these shoulder issues, you're listening to trade talks. You have to be. And especially if your team hasn't made the playoffs again, you're down.
Yeah.
But we'll worry about that in the future. I mean, there's still a lot to learn about that situation, I feel like. Freddie's saying he definitely can't stretch the field like he did in 2015. Yep, you're right. And what happens if they sit Cam and Heineke balls out? Well, keep Heineke in and sit his ass on IR and let his shoulder get better, and then maybe use him for trade bait or whatever. I mean, who knows? That's a lot to learn. He does have an arm, though. Taylor Heineke has a cannon.
He does, but
sure.
He doesn't have what we took to see come to fruition with the young receivers and getting on the same page most of the time. Now we're going to start back over with the backup quarterback.
Heineke was the one throwing a lot with them in camp when they were coming in and learning. So that's normally the backup quarterback. Yeah. That's normally his job. So he might even have, just as much as Cam did it'd take time. But, like I said, if Cam goes out, this offense is designed around Cam and his dynamic ability. If he goes out, it's going to take a lot to change that around. So that's Chandra asking are we in or are we out? Look, there's still a chance the Panthers can make a playoffs, guys. Until they lose another game and some other people win, there's still a chance. We'll be breaking down the playoff picture again on Wednesday's show, so be tuned in for that. But Billy, I'm ready to go watch some other football and get my mind off this for a few
what
days.
Would you say today would be a bright spot? So we don't end on a negative note. My bright spot for today's game
segment
would be Ian Thomas.
Yes, absolutely.
Finally seeing Ian Thomas, and this was somebody at the beginning of the season that I wanted to see more of, and he now has 1.5 games in a row, and I think he's going to be really good.
Ian Thomas, again, today with 9 catches, 77 yards, definitely a bright spot, Billy. I'm going to double down on that for you. Great point there. Would definitely be my bright spot for this offense. And defensively, Luke Kuechly is just... He still plays out of his damn mind. I mean, he was out there. Both of those fumbles were forced by him, by the way, today.
And it's crazy because it wasn't even like big hits, and he would swat the ball away, and he'd just keep walking away from the play because he already knew what was going to happen.
It's ridiculous. But anyway, guys, thank y'all for tuning in. All of you on Facebook, big group today. I know losing sucks and it's tough. Part of us being, signing up to do this show and stuff. I told myself, I said, man, there's going to be times probably at some point where I'm going to hate doing this show because of the way the season's going. Right now, this Billy has been one of those times. I think you would agree.
Yeah, it
sucks, but
it sucks. It's been easy to check out of the games for a little while the past couple weeks. Next week, we definitely won't be, as we'll be there.
Yes.
Hopefully,
loud and proud, and we'll try to work out something so we can get live with you guys and talk about it. But we'll get into more of that on Wednesday's show. Hopefully Wednesday. We'll keep you posted on that. But guys, again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Hopfly Brewing Company out of Rocky Mount for the New England style IPA. Just boogie getting me through this terrible Panthers loss. For Panther Source, guys, y'all be sure to like, follow, share, subscribe, all that stuff wherever you're watching. I am Tripp Morgan.
Billy Harless.
Y'all keep pounding. I know it's tough, but keep pounding. And we will see you next week for the Saints Monday night preview. Y'all keep pounding.